Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I have a really fun card using the September Hedgehog Hollow subscription box. This month's box came with kind of a donut or sweet things themed box, and it came with a bunch of stencils, and the stencils are all donuts. And so I'm going to make a card full of donuts, and so I've started out with just the donut shape, and I am using some antique linen in the Distress Oxide ink, and I'm taking an ink dauber and I'm just trying to go very close to the edge of the stencil, and I'll go ahead and do that for all of them. I end up putting 4 donuts on all together. I tried taping this down, it didn't work too well, so if you have pixie spray that would work. I just did not, I never think to use that for some reason, so it's just a little bit easier just to hold it on with my hand. And once I have all of the donuts, I am going to take this circle, which came in the kit. It is a part of a spotlight stencil, and the circle's a little bit larger than the donut, but I'm going to use it kind of as a mask so that I don't get ink, or try not to get ink, onto the actual donut portion. And so I'm again just going to take my ink dauber and place that mask and kind of move it around so that I get a pretty even coverage in the middle where there is no stencil. And then the donuts have all kinds of toppings that you can put on them. So I'm going to start out using kind of like the drip donut, and now I am using the spotlight stencil right here. And again, the circle is a little bit bigger than the actual donut, so I have to move it around a little bit to get the mask to work, but it does work, and it's a lot easier than going ahead and using masking paper or anything like that. And so I'm going to take some Catherine Pooler inks. I believe this one is called Icing on the Cake, and I'm going to go ahead and add kind of that chocolate drip on the donut. And I'm using my blending brush for this. And then once I have the ink where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and remove the stencil and then place it slightly below the original drip line so that I get a little bit of a shadow, which makes it look dimensional. And so then I'm going to go ahead and move on and add the rest of the toppings to the rest of the donuts on my card. So this one is the little sprinkles. I'm taking some ink daubers and adding some different colored sprinkles on that donut. And then this one, I don't know if I put this one on right actually, but it's kind of a flower shape almost. And I wanted this one to be a pink donut, and so I am taking my finger dauber and applying, I believe it is Party Dress by Catherine Pooler, around the edge. And I'm using that spotlight stencil again as a mask so that I don't get ink into that center portion where there are no donuts. And then there's a really skinny, kind of like a little icing strip stencil, and I went ahead and used that as well. And then to add a little bit of shadow inside of the donut, I'm going to take the donut stencil again, place it right over the donut, and for all of these I'm just going to take a finger dauber and add a little bit of ink on the inside to create that shadow. And then I'm going to take a Copic marker, and this one is C0, and I am going to outline again where there would be some shadow to try and give the donuts a little bit more dimension so they do not look so flat against the card. And so I'm going to go around the inside of all of the donuts, and then I'm going to use the stencil as a template and go around to the outside of the donut as well. And so this is just a really light color, kind of makes the images pop off of the card a little bit more. And then I've swiped the Distress Oxide ink onto my craft mat, and I'm taking a paintbrush and a little bit of water and going around those donuts again to create the look of a shadow that will hopefully make it look more realistic or more dimensional. And the next step is to go ahead and color up the donuts. And so I'm going to use my Copic markers for this. I forgot to mention that I am using Accent Opaque white cardstock for this card. And I don't remember all of the colors that I used for Copics, but I believe it was E21 is the lightest color, And then I go around with E31 around the outside edge. And so I'm just doing some really easy coloring. I tried to find a color that was a little bit different than the background, but that looked like a donut. And so I went ahead and I colored that with the E21, which again is the lighter color. And then I'm going in with a little bit of a darker color, and that is E31. And I'm drawing a circle around the outside, but leaving a little bit of the donut edge showing, so that makes it look kind of like, you know, how a donut isn't completely round, I guess. It kind of goes in and then out a little bit. I don't know. That's what my donuts look like. But I'm doing that to give the impression that the donut is puffy or not flat. And I'm going to go ahead and do that for all of the donuts. I'll go ahead and color them in. But I went ahead and I went over the icing again with one of my darkest brown Copic chow markers. And I did that on both of the chocolate donuts. I just thought it looked a little bit better with darkening up those areas with the Copic markers. And then I'm going to spritz the entire panel with some of the sheer shimmer spray. And then I'm going to take some white acrylic paint and do a little bit of splatter. That splatter serves two purposes, actually, just splatter because I like it. But I think it also gives some highlights on the donuts to make it look like it's wet or glistening, I guess. And then the sentiment that I'm going to use is life is better with sprinkles, and I'm using some tan paper from Maker Forte, and I've used a die from my stash and heat embossed that with white. I have adhered that to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 tan card base, and that will finish my card. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it or find it informative, please go ahead and give a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope to see you soon.